King 5 News.
We're following breaking news here at 10 o'clock. A police officer has been shot in the head in Mount Vernon. Here's a live look at the scene. Very active right now because the suspect is still holed up in a home near Fir and North LaVenture. We have been hearing shots fired throughout the night in this live shot. The suspect is apparently using a hostage to negotiate with police right now.
A very dangerous situation.
Right. 30-year veteran of the force has been taken to Harborview.
Yeah, and we want to get to John Langler. He is live right there at Harborview. John, what are you hearing? What are you seeing?
Good evening. Good evening. A little while ago, a helicopter landed here at Harborview Medical Center, and what we understand it is, in fact, the officer from Mount Vernon, that 30-year veteran of the force, shot in the head. We've just learned he is here at the hospital in critical condition. He was flown in by the helicopter, landing in the cold conditions on the back end. That's where the helipad is here at Harborview. And again, we have not heard officially from Harborview, but from staff that are working on the scene, they have told us that the officer is here right now being worked on again in critical condition. And as Heather mentioned in our coverage in the last hour, sadly, we've been in this position before. An officer shot, brought to a hospital locally, and the work to try and save that officer's life is going on right now inside. When we get more information on his situation, we'll bring it to you. But for now, we're live at Harborview Medical Center. Actually, before I close out here, I believe we have the video of the helicopter landing. Is that right? We have the video, I think, of the helicopter. That's okay. We'll get to that in a little bit. But nonetheless, the helicopter landed. The officer is here being worked on. Back to you.
For that update, John.
So John confirming that this officer's condition is critical. Airlifted to Harborview Medical Center from Skagit County, Mount Vernon. Critical injuries, shots to the head.
Yeah, doctors and nurses are working extremely hard on him right now. We are hoping for the best.
Yes. Heather Graff has been on the scene all night, and boy, it's been scary out there, Heather, for lack of a better word. We've been hearing shots in the back of your live shot throughout the night.
Very scary, Amanda. Again, an eerily similar scene to what we saw 2 weeks ago in Tacoma, but we're hearing a whole lot of gunshots. And I talked to one neighbor on our live shot a few minutes ago. He heard as many as 20 to 25 gunshots since he's been in his home over the last couple of hours. I'm hearing them again right as I'm speaking. So let's give you a look at the scene here. I mean, we here at the corner of Allison and LaVenture, we have officers with their guns drawn. We've seen them talking to neighbors, urging neighbors to go inside. But of course, curiosity and I think a little bit of fear is bringing people outside to take a look at this police activity. And as we zoom into this police activity, you can see, I know it's hard to see because it is dark out here, but you can see there are SWAT officers sort of taking shelter behind their vehicle, all of them armed. What we know is that they have this house surrounded. The suspect is barricaded inside that home, and the negotiations are ongoing as we speak. But again, so is the gunfire. We've heard many shots since we've been out here, and one neighbor I talked to said when she first heard the gunshots, her and her family, they just ran inside. They turned off all the lights in their home and kind of took shelter inside their home. That's what police are encouraging people to do. So again, this is all happening at the corner of North LaVenture and First Street. That's where you're seeing all of those flashing lights. That's where officers have a home surrounded, and those negotiations with the gunman are continuing. The other thing we're seeing out here is a whole lot of compassion and love for the police officers on this scene. Talked to a neighbor a few minutes ago. He came out and checked on these officers, wanted to see if they wanted hot coffee or tea to stay warm as they're out here protecting this community. And I got to show you this. I'm going to step back into the shot because this is pretty amazing. As we're out here, one of the police officers came and gave us these hand warmers. So they're out here in this very dangerous situation. They're obviously worrying about their fellow officer who's been shot and is in the hospital, as John mentioned, in critical condition. And the officer came over to me first. He said, hey, if you guys want to stand right behind our car where you feel safe, please do that. We want you guys to be safe out here. Then he hands us these hand warmers. So just what compassion from that police officer. And they're the ones in the tough spot right now. So just had to share that with you guys because I thought that was pretty special. But that's what we're seeing out here right now, a very, very active scene, a very dangerous scene. Again, neighbors being urged to stay inside their homes, and we just continue to hear gunshots over the course of the last hour or so since we've been out here. Amanda and David, I'll send it back to you for right now.
It is so touching, Heather, to hear what you just explained. Temperatures are in the 20s there, and you have this dangerous situation. So many officers have responded to the scene, and they are not only trying to keep neighbors safe, they're trying to keep you safe by telling you where to stand. They offered you those hand warmers, and it's also beautiful to hear how with everything going on, you have neighbors concerned about their community, concerned about these officers out here in these really cold temperatures, and they still thought enough to offer these officers hot tea, you know, something warm to drink on this extremely cold evening. It's just beautiful to hear. We want to now go live to Natalie Swaby. Natalie, I don't know if you can hear me, but where Heather is, she's heard from neighbors who say in this area they've heard 20 to 30 shots. You just spoke to a neighbor in that area who heard a couple shots herself. I guess get us up to speed. What else are you seeing? What have you learned? What can you tell us?
Yeah, we're going to hear more from that neighbor, Maria, in just a moment. I will show you the scene here. We're standing right outside of Skagit Valley College. This is where police say they will meet with us and give us an update as soon as they're able to. But let's take a closer look here. East College Way and North Law Venture Road. You can see the road is closed, and down the street there, all those flashing lights. We see that police have been gathering here right in this spot, and they've been moving in several different directions, very active just down the way. And it was down that road that I had the chance to talk with Maria. She says she lives 3 doors down from the house where all of the activity is happening right now. And she explains what happened a bit earlier. She takes us back to what she first heard, and this is around 5:30. Just listen.
So there was a shooting in the area. First one happened around 5:30, 5:40. Police came to investigate. Police got there within about 5 minutes of that happening. They started investigating the shooting. At that point, the person who originally got shot, my husband took them to the hospital because they came in saying, "I've been shot." He took them to the hospital. By the time he got back, the police officer was there. We did our police reports to them, spoke to them about what we had seen. There was about 4 shots fired at first, about three to four shots fired. At that point, the police officer started roping off areas, started looking around with flashlights, seeing what they can do for their investigation. I left because my daughter had an orchestra concert. So I left for a little while. I kept hearing the scanners. I started seeing that they started blocking off areas. Apparently the person, the shooting's going on about 3 or 4 houses from where I live, more like 3 houses from where I live right now. So my house is blocked out. I can't even go into my house. I have my kids in different places right now with friends and relatives who are watching them. Apparently there's a shootout with the house that's down there. I heard there was a police officer that was shot, and the shooting's still going on as far as from what I can hear.
You just described so many scary things in a row, and I'm so sorry. First off, just how are you handling that? The fact that your kids are separated from you, you're trying to make all of this work. How does all of that hit you right now?
It's very scary, especially with everything that happened in Burlington back in September, I believe it was. It's just something very scary. You never think that it would happen in a small community that this is, and especially in a few houses down from my house. Having to talk to the kids and let them know everything's okay, having to talk to them because they're hearing gunshots and then telling them go down to the floor, making sure that they're okay. Constantly talking to them right now. I know right now that they're safe. They're with very close friends and family. So I know that they're safe and they're comforting them right now. That's the main important thing for me.
There you go. She's just describing some of the scary moments that continue to unfold. This is where we're going to continue to stay and hope to bring you an update from police soon. But for now, I'll send it back to you.
Okay, Natalie, thank you. We are getting some tweets coming in from other police departments sharing their prayers and their thoughts with the Mount Vernon Police Department. And here's from the governor now. Our thoughts are with the family of the officer shot tonight in Mount Vernon, hoping for a safe resolution to the situation soon.
Okay, I'm also seeing a tweet from Sammamish Police. Not again. Mount Vernon PD officer shot in the line of duty. Our thoughts and prayers go out to the entire MVPD family. We want to go live now to John Langler. He is at Harborview Hospital, where this officer who was shot in the head in critical condition was flown to. John, get us up to speed. We just spoke to you about 10 minutes ago. What more have you learned?
Well, again, here at Harborview Medical Center, we know that the officer, a 30-year veteran of the force up in Mount Vernon, is in fact right now here at Harborview. Was flown in some time ago. We have some video actually of the helicopter landing and the officer, we're told, being unloaded. That coming from some officials that we spoke with here at the hospital that told us that that is exactly who was being unloaded at that time. Don't have a lot of other details at this point. We're waiting for a bit of an update if possible, but what we do know, again, this officer is in critical condition here at Harborview Medical Center. A 30-year veteran of the force in Mount Vernon was airlifted here to Harborview. Trauma 1 Center, of course, they handle a lot of these situations, so the officer is certainly in the best hands possible. Back to you.
All right, John, thank you for that update. And just to let you guys at home know, we are expecting another update at 10:15 from some police in that area, so we will hope to have some more information to pass along.
We will take a quick break now. Much more breaking news coverage of an officer shot in Mount Vernon after the break. Okay, we do want to get right back to Mount Vernon because we're getting our first update of the night actually from police public information officer right now from the Mount Vernon Police Department. Do we have... okay, so we're about to get this update. This is the live picture that we have of the scene right now. This officer, 30-year veteran of the Mount Vernon Police Department, shot in the head. Yeah, flown to Harborview Hospital right now. We are hearing that he is listed in critical condition. Doctors and nurses are working tirelessly to assist this officer at this time. This officer was shot in the head. This happened in Mount Vernon near LaVenture Road and 1st Street in Skagit County. Police, as you can see from this shot, they have several streets blocked off. We do know several different law enforcement agencies have responded, have been responding. I mean, all through the night since we got on the air this evening around 9 o'clock with this story. Heather Graff was at the scene. She was hearing shots while she was trying to do some of her reports. She's okay. Neighbors are okay also. But when she was speaking to neighbors, some of the neighbors mentioned that they heard 20, 25, 30 shots. And really, this has been going on for a couple of hours now, according to what some of the neighbors have been saying. So as you mentioned, Amanda, 30-year vet of the force here, Mount Vernon Police Department we're talking about. Suspect put a hostage on the phone with some investigators, and that suspect, as we know, as of right now, is barricaded inside of a home there. Yeah, this neighborhood is on lockdown. People are being told to stay inside and stay safe. In fact, our crew, Heather Graff and her photographer, have been told to move to get to a safer area because this is so dangerous right now. This is a suspect who's clearly armed, who's in a home. Obviously nothing to lose at this point, and we continue to hear these shots being fired. Yeah. We're hearing some eerie similarities here. This is a lot like what we were talking about only 2 weeks ago in Tacoma, an officer responding to a domestic violence call. Shots are fired. The officer was down. The officer transported to the hospital, and within a couple hours we learned that Officer Jake Gutierrez didn't make it. We also heard a comparison to what happened at the Cascade Mall in Burlington. Burlington is 6 miles away from Mount Vernon. 5 people shot and killed the accused shooter, Arjan Chetan. This was September 23rd at the Cascade Mall in Burlington, also in Skagit County. Yeah, neighbors mentioned that. And I'm hearing now from our producers that we have a PIO on scene. Let's listen in for an update.
Vernon police officers responded to the call of a man that had been shot at the corner of 1st Street and LaVenture Street in the city of Mount Vernon. Officers arrived at the scene, and once those officers arrived, they made contact at a residence. And once they made contact at that residence, a subject inside that residence began shooting at officers. The unfortunate part of this, one officer has been shot, a Mount Vernon police officer. I am told he was conscious and alert. He was taken to the Skagit Valley Hospital initially, and then transferred down to Harborview Medical Center in Seattle. The reason for this person shooting at officers right now is not known. We don't know who this individual is. We do know that he has believed hostages in the house. We don't know who those individuals are, and we don't know how many. We don't know if there's male, female, or children. As of the last report, or as the last check, the subject was still shooting at officers. The last shots that he fired were 4 more shots just before 10 o'clock, about 9:53. The area is cordoned off, closed off. There are ways around the scene. We're asking residents to please stay clear of this area until we can get this person into custody and this situation taken care of. We have hostage negotiators on the scene that believe are making contact with this individual, and I don't know what that capacity is or what any conversations have been at all. At this time, the folks that are being evacuated from their local residence around this area are at the Salem Lutheran Church. That's where they're being evacuated to. That is for their safety and comfort. You know, it's 28 degrees outside, so we need to make sure we take care of the citizens before anybody else and preserve life as much as we can. Again, I don't know what this person's motive is for doing this. That will obviously and hopefully come out as we move along. But right now it's a very dynamic situation as far as this person still shooting at officers. Last was, I believe he was shooting at a SWAT vehicle in the area, and officers' cars that are around that area as well. So right now that's about all I know. And we need to give our hearts and prayers out to the officer and the officer's family who is with him right now at the hospital, and keep that officer in your mind if you could, please.
Was he unconscious and alert? Do you know more about his condition?
I do not know what the condition was. I don't know where he was shot at or anything. I'm waiting to hear that.
So we heard it may have been a head wound. Do you know anything about that?
I was not told that. I was just told he was shot and he was taken to the hospital.
Can you tell us anything about him? I'm hearing he was a veteran with the department.
Right now I'm waiting for clearance to give that information out through Mount Vernon Police Department. The State Patrol, Homeland Security Division, Mount Vernon Police Department, Skagit County Sheriff's Office, and agencies from not only Skagit County but Whatcom County, Island County, and Snohomish County have responded to the scene. To name them all, I couldn't at this point because there's so many.
Has he fired dozens of rounds at officers, or?
He fired 4 just 20 minutes ago, and I haven't heard. I haven't been listening since I began putting some of the pieces together for the briefing. But yeah, he's been shooting at officers periodically. So yeah, there's been quite a few. I haven't counted, but multiple shots.
So this is a smart investigation?
As far as the smart investigation, that will potentially take over once this situation gets safe. We'll go into what is the Skagit Multi-Agency Response Team, which is made up of detectives from all over the region that will investigate this officer shooting or this situation and go to those protocols. Those folks are highly skilled, and when the Skagit Mall shooting occurred, those were the folks that also investigated that incident as well. So.
Any sense of the type of gun he's using? Is it a rifle? Can you tell from the shots that are being fired?
Right now, we don't know if it's one type of firearm or multiple.
What do you know about? He knows the people at the residence?
Right now, we just don't know. If I knew, I would tell you. I just don't have that information on what his motive to. And like I said, initially, the officers responded to a subject that had been shot either at that residence or near that residence, and then once they arrived, that's when the shots rang out towards the officers.
We had heard that he had sought treatment at a local hospital. Can we confirm that?
Yes, he was taken to the Skagit Valley Hospital.
At any point in time, were hospital workers there fearful of this man, or any indication that...
I do not know that.
Have you been able to interview him? How is that initial victim doing, and is he being interviewed right now?
I don't know of any contact with that person right now. It's a little too early.
Have hostage negotiators been able to make some successful contact, and any idea if he's heavily armed?
I heard that they did make contact. I don't know what the content is, or if that is continuing or broken up. I don't know.
We heard there were multiple shootings at this residence last week and a contentious eviction situation. Do you know anything about any of that?
That's news to me. I do not know that.
Are the people in their homes in that neighborhood? I know some have evacuated, but some have stayed put. Just assessing the danger in this neighborhood at this time, what would you say about it?
We do have a team of officers going residence to residence to get those folks to ask them at least to leave for their safety, and I haven't heard anything to the contrary of that, whether people are wanting to stay or not.
Can you confirm what schools are on lockdown?
Right now, we're at the Skagit College, and I haven't had any contact with those folks yet. We're still a little new as far as that goes. We do have a command post set up at one of the local schools, LaVenture Middle School, and there's no activities going on right there. So that's all I have for right now. The next briefing, I will let you know, and again, please pray for the officer right now who's in the hospital, and we'll keep you up to date.
Okay, so you were just listening to one of the PIOs there at the press conference. Here's what we can tell you at this time. Officers responded to a shooting. They went to a house. One officer was shot. That PIO mentioned that the officer who was shot is alert, or was alert at the time that he was shot, was rushed to the hospital. The reason for the shooting at this time is not known. The PIO also mentioned no suspect or hostage information is known at this time to release to the media. The suspect is still shooting at officers, and the last shooting happened right around 10 p.m. Neighbors were told should stay inside. We know that hostage negotiators are on scene trying to make contact with the suspect, trying to even make contact with some of the hostages there. We're told that some neighbors close by are being evacuated to safer locations. The PIO did not want to confirm where the officer was shot. Officers are even going door to door explaining the situation and asking some neighbors to leave where they are for their own safety.
In fact, they are putting out a big warning, telling people don't come down to the scene. This is not a show. Stay in your home. Stay safe. They don't need more people hanging around. Clearly still an active situation. A suspect who is armed, and from what we're hearing, heavily armed, last fired 4 more shots at officers at 9:53, so just about half an hour ago now. So again, a dangerous situation. Police reiterating, do not go down there. Do not walk out of your house. Do not try to see what's happening because people could get hurt. So out of that update, I think what was really reassuring to hear was that this officer was conscious and alert when he was transported to Skagit Valley Hospital before he was flown to Harborview Medical Center. And there is some information that we can relay to you about this officer. 30-year veteran of the force, married with 3 children, also a grandfather. A friend of this officer calls him the most honest and stand-up guy you could ever meet. He says people need to know that. Apparently that this officer had been talking about retiring, but wanted to stay on. He was dedicated to the force, loved his job so much. Just tidbits of information. Again, the name of this officer has not been released right now.
And that information is coming from sources, not the PIO at the scene. We're just hearing that. We just wanted to give you guys that info. We're hearing that John Langler is live and ready to give us an update. John, what's going on?
Well, given that further information on the officer's background, it certainly makes this evening more tragic. Here at Harborview Medical Center, we do know that the officer is here. Again, that 30-year veteran. He's in critical condition right now, but as you mentioned, the good news potentially from that press conference up in Skagit County is that he was awake and alert as he was being transported. We have some video of when the transport and the airlift ended up here at Harborview Medical Center. The officer being unloaded, whisked into an ambulance, then they drive around the hospital, and then they bring the victim into the emergency room for care. It's a level 1 trauma center here at Harborview Medical Center. This is what they do, is try and bring people back or save people when they're in conditions such as this. And that is what's going on right now at Harborview Medical Center. One other thing I'll bring up, we've seen a lot of police activity around here. A lot of officers have been arriving here. Now, that is partially what happens here normally if there is someone here that is involved in some sort of a police action. However, there are officers here from a lot of different jurisdictions. I have to say I don't know for sure if they're here because the officer from Upper Mount Vernon is in the hospital, but we saw that in Tacoma. We've seen that before in other similar circumstances. So just a lot of officers have been arriving here at Harborview Medical Center, flowing into the emergency room here, and they, like us, want to see how this plays out. Back to you.
All right, John, thank you for that update. We're going to go to break, and we will be back with much more on this officer-involved shooting.
Breaking now, for the second time in 2 weeks, a local officer has been shot in the line of duty.
So there was some bang, 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 and, you know, had the kids go on the floor.
A Mount Vernon officer is fighting for his life. And a dangerous hostage standoff is still unfolding. A gunman continues to fire at police. Air 4 is live near the shooting scene in Mount Vernon. We'll have that for you in just a few seconds, where a gunman is still holed up with hostages. There are those live pictures. Neighbors near this spot at LaVenture and Fur have been evacuated because gunshots are still being fired hours after an officer was shot in the head. That officer has been airlifted to Harborview Medical Center in Seattle tonight in critical condition. We have team coverage on the shooting and the standoff, starting with Joel Marino, who just got an update from police. Joel?
Yeah, Mary and Molly, still a very tense and frightening situation out here because this suspect, as you mentioned, he is still firing at officers and their vehicles. And he's also believed to have hostages inside the house where he's holed up, holding police at bay. Law enforcement that responded, they have set up a wide perimeter of several blocks just to keep other people in the community safe from the line of fire. Now, this all happened. This incident started about 5:30 this evening. Mount Vernon police were called to a home in the area to respond to a report of a man who had been shot. Well, officers showed up to the residence and they started talking to the people that lived there when suddenly a suspect inside the house started shooting. And he definitely shot one of the officers, we're told, in the head. Now, police do have the home surrounded, but they have to move very carefully because the suspect, again, is not alone inside the home.
We do know that he has believed hostages in the house. We don't know who those individuals are, and we don't know how many. We don't know if there's male, female, or children. As of the last report, or as the last check, the subject was still shooting at officers.
Yeah, and they are moving heavy equipment into this crime scene right now because he just fired another 4 shots, we're told, about an hour ago. Now, this entire neighborhood, it is being evacuated. Not everyone has left, though, so officers are going door to door, just pleading with people just to clear out so they can stay safe. And they're asking those people to go to a local church because it is so very cold out here, and they want them to be somewhere where they can wait this out. They just don't know how long this is going to take. There are hostage negotiators who are working with the suspect, but still, we don't know the motive for this crime. There is another update going on right now, and if you come back to us, we'll probably have more information shortly. That's the latest here in Mount Vernon.
We actually want to get to that update right now. Sergeant Leary is speaking again. Let's listen in.
Can you give us a little more on what you mean by what is he doing online right now? You said he's live streaming.
I don't know. I was told that the possibility that he is, and if we can get the message to him to end this right now, that's what we would like to see, if you could do that.
Is it again to clarify? Has he been violent in the past? What's his history?
Yes,
you can share?
The way that it was told to me was he is a violent offender. And well known to law enforcement. As far as his past history, again, I don't have any of those details, but a violent past history, well known, you know, it could be various different things.
Do we know if his gunshot wound was life-threatening? Can you walk us through what the hospital was able to give information on for the suspect?
For the suspect?
Mm-hmm. Well, do you mean the victim who was grazed initially?
Correct. Yeah, the victim, I don't know what the update is on that person.
And
that's about all we have.
And to clarify again, we're talking about one suspected shooter.
Right now, we believe it is. Yes, we believe it is one person. We're not going to say that there aren't more, but right now, we believe there is just one.
And you talked about his violent past. Do you know what type of weapons, what he might have?
I do not know.
Has he been engaging with hostage negotiators at all, or just firing at you guys?
From what I'm being told, he is speaking with some people, whether that's the negotiators or some folks that he's come in contact with. I don't know. I don't have that info. So we're going to go try to get some more pieces once we get back to the command post.
And again, the hostages that he has there with him, the connection?
I do not know. I don't know the connection between the hostages or the folks that are with him. We don't know if they're actually hostages or they're people that he just knows and happen to be living in the house. So we're treating that as a hostage type of situation.
Is there any concern that he might hurt them or threaten them in any way?
Well, there's always that possibility that you know, the worst could happen, that if he's shooting at officers, is he going to take the lives of folks in the house? That's obviously a possibility. We hope that doesn't happen.
The man who was grazed, we don't know if the suspect that you're trying to contact now is the same person who shot that man, do we?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. So that's about all we have right now. As soon as we find out some more information, that's pretty much up to date what we have right now.
Trooper Leary,
thank you so much, Trooper Leary.
That was an update from Trooper Leary with Washington.
Sergeant Leary with the Washington State Patrol giving us the latest information on what is unfolding in Mount Vernon. We have learned a little bit more about the gunman. We're told that this is a suspect with a violent history. We're told they have made contact with him, but no word on the progress or timeline. And though they haven't ruled out the fact that this could be a hostage situation, at this hour, they believe he may be the only person inside this residence. And you heard Como's Suzanne Fawn asking some of the questions there. We'll be checking in with Suzanne in just a moment. But right now, we want to get to Gabe Cohen, who is monitoring the officer's condition at Harborview Medical Center tonight. Gabe, what have you learned?
Well, Molly, we've been getting updates throughout the night from the hospital. What we know, just a few minutes ago, the officer went into surgery. He's still in critical condition at this point. The good news from law enforcement up in Mount Vernon is that the officer was awake and alert at the scene. He was then transported here to Harborview. He landed just after 9 p.m. He was unconscious when he landed. He's still unconscious at this point, though I'm told by the team here that that's common to intubate a patient during transport, so not necessarily a red flag there. The officer's family is here at the hospital. They're supporting him as he continues to fight for his life, and we'll continue to bring you updates on his condition, but for now I'm going to send it back to you.
Gabe, thank you very much. Well, neighbors around the shooting scene have been evacuated to a church for their own safety. Cumbo Suzanne Fawn spoke to one woman who was there when the first shooting victim showed up on her doorstep. Suzanne?
We can tell you that that one was very deeply shaken by what happened. She lives only 2 to 3 doors down from where that shooting happened. First of all, we can tell you that this community as a whole is deeply shaken because of what happened here tonight. There's a school across the street that remains in lockdown. Students are told not to leave their dorms. Meanwhile, down the street, the shooting is just a few blocks away from us. And as I was talking about the scene earlier, here's a closer look at the scene. We saw SWAT truck after SWAT vehicle rolling down the streets. We saw cars zipping by us. We're talking about patrol cars zipping by us to get to the scene. And we can tell you that we talked to one woman who I mentioned earlier, lives 3 doors away when she heard all the shots fired.
There was some bang, 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 and, you know, had the kids go on the floor. I'm just shaken up with everything that's going on, you know. Poor officer is down. You wouldn't think that there would be something going on, especially at a house that's just 2 or 3 houses down from mine, you know, that somebody would be there shooting.
We're just need to do something so we stop having these things happen.
Now, that first lady we talked to, she says that right after the initial shooting at 5:30, an injured man that she knew came to the door. That man, as we have just learned, was grazed by a bullet. Now, the woman and her husband took that man to the hospital. No word yet who he is or how he's connected to this standoff, but again, he was grazed by the bullet. Meanwhile, 2 nearby schools were put on lockdown, including Skagit Valley College and LaVenture Middle School. People around here, again, saying that they're so deeply shaken by what happened. They're still haunted by the memory of the shooting at Cascade Mall in Burlington. Back here live now, the streets around here remain closed down. We're at East College Way and also LaVenture Road here, and this will be a very long night, no doubt, for many of the people who are stranded, not able to return home, and of course, many of the crews and the officers who are still out here tonight. That's the latest live here. We'll send it right back to you.
It is an awful situation. Suzanne, thank you. This all comes on the heels of the line of duty death of a Tacoma police officer. Officer Jake Gutierrez was just laid to rest on Friday. He was responding to a domestic disturbance on November 30th when a man in the home opened fire. Officer Gutierrez is being remembered as a compassionate patrol officer who went out of his way to help people. And the hashtag Thin Blue Line is trending right now on Twitter as lots of local agencies and local officers from different departments send their love and support to the Mount Vernon department as they deal with this. If you're just tuning in, an officer in critical condition at Harborview Medical Center tonight after he was shot in the head by a gunman while responding to a residence in Mount Vernon. And again, the scene right now in Mount Vernon, this is video taken from a few moments ago, still unfolding as hostage negotiators try and make contact with this man who apparently has a violent past, and they are urging him to end this peacefully and to come out and surrender. But no news yet on when that might happen. Our crews are staying on top of this. We're staying on top of a developing situation in Skagit County. A Mount Vernon police officer is in critical condition after being shot. And now the gunman is holding hostages. Let's get back to KOMO's Joel Marino, who's live on the scene. Joel?
And Mary and Molly, we just got what we're told is a final briefing. Just a few updates on the original report that I gave. Police are not identifying the suspect, but they do tell us that he is well known to officers, a long list of offenses that they have had to come into encounter with him. He is believed to be inside, they tell us, streaming on social media. Not a lot of clarity from the trooper that gave us that information, other than that it might be on Facebook, but some sort of social media that he is streaming on right now. Now, the officer who was shot and injured in that call initially, we're told he's a 30-year veteran, currently with the Mount Vernon Police Department. He possibly was in critical condition. The trooper said he doesn't have a clear sense of the condition right now, but that was shot in the head. And there was the original victim that the police officers came to respond to. They came to a call of a shooting. Well, that victim, we're told, had a grazing wound and is expected to be okay. No updates on the hostages other than that they are believed to be inside the house with him. Don't know the numbers or ages of those hostages, but it does make for a very tense situation. They've got the hostage negotiators in there, in the area, and they are communicating with him, but we're not clear how well those conversations are going, and he has been shooting recently. That's the latest here in Mount Vernon. Joel Marino, KOMO News.
All right, Joel, thank you. We do have confirmation that the officer is in critical condition from Harborview Medical Center. That's where Gabe Cohen is standing by with more. Gabe?
Molly, that's right. He is still in critical condition. I was told just in the last few minutes that he's gone into surgery, so they're doing a lot of work here behind the scenes at Harborview. The hopeful message, as I told you before, from the scene up in Mount Vernon was that the officer initially was awake and alert before he was transported here to Harborview. His family is also here at the hospital with him. Again, we're continuing to monitor his condition, but that's something that right now he is in surgery, in critical condition. That's going to be the latest we can give you here at Harborview. We'll send it back to you.
A lot of people praying for him tonight. Gabe, thank you.